Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gamansing. Budget hearings continued at the Senate Friday on St. Croix. Tourism officials appeared before senators to defend their fiscal year 2014 budget. Like many of the government's agencies, the tourism department's appropriation for the upcoming fiscal year is down compared to the last year's. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
For the fifth year in a row, the Tourism Department's general fund budget appropriation is down. The fiscal year 2014 budget is a little more than $2.7 million, down 4.1% from the fiscal year 2013's general fund allotment of $2.8 million. Tourism officials told lawmakers that the numbers have consistently trended downwards since their fiscal year 2009 budget presentation and stands at a 31% decline from that time. The budget request is made up of personnel, fringe benefits, supplies, other services and charges, capital outlay, and utility costs. The 2014 budget request is funded at the 8% salary cut levels. Tourism officials told senators their budget ceiling doesn't allow for anything more.
Certainly the impact is twofold. First, if the restoration of the 8% is implemented, that certainly at our current ceiling that becomes a challenge because we just don't simply have the funding. And you know, it's always a challenge to do more with less, but I gotta really commend the ladies and gentlemen of the Department of Tourism because again and again and again they consistently perform.
Tourism officials requested an overall budget of $17.5 million. That's based on projected hotel occupancy tax collections and is funded by the Tourism Advertising Revolving Fund. The Tourism Department is responsible for generating a revenue stream for the territory based on the tourism it attracts, and officials said their goal is to get a return on every dollar spent on marketing. They broke down every dollar spent with a detailed presentation that included their expenditures, contracts listing, employee listing to include job descriptions and salary amounts. They also showcased all of their PR and marketing efforts locally and abroad, despite limited resources. The department also funds some local agencies and programs, and they talked about their goals to spotlight the territory even more. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Senators also heard testimony Friday from Department of Personnel officials regarding their budget requests. Well, in yesterday's newscast, we covered an ongoing friction between some vendors and police officers at Coki Point in St. Thomas. In this continuing coverage, the taxi drivers have their own issues to raise. News 2's April Knight follows the story.
Coki Point Beach, one of the more popular beaches on St. Thomas, continues to attract a swarm of tourists. But in the background, a developing conflict threatens this little piece of paradise.
The vendors were not adhering to the rules and regs, and also the taxi drivers were not adhering to the rules and regs for the taxi commission.
VIPD officers stationed at Coki Point are battling two fronts. The vendors are complaining about the way police do their jobs.
The officer abuses his power.
And then there are the taxi cab drivers who find the rules too oppressive.
We are not in Cuba or a place like this.
One point of contention is the 6 feet rule.
A taxi driver, while he's on duty, must remain within 6 feet of the vehicle.
When a taxi brings people to the beach, they're allowed to stand 6 feet from the vehicle.
But while the law sounds simple to lawmakers, they're not so black and white to those affected by them.
To go to Coral World to get a snack, he told me I have to go back to my bus. I'm too far from my bus. If you want to go to the restroom, you have to go to tell Mr. Peterson you're going to the restroom.
Taxi drivers also feel the taxi business at Coki Point is not police business.
The taxi commission is supposed to have people here on Coki Beach and not the police.
We are limited in staff. We can't afford to post someone there permanent like VIPD. Rules are rules. Officer Peterson is doing his job. Officer Williams is also doing an excellent job.
Police, vendors, and taxi drivers still meet in heated discussion from time to time. For now, they still manage to coexist, maintaining what seems to be a fragile status quo at Coki Point. April Knight, News 2.
News 2 will be monitoring key developments on the Coki Point conflict. We will keep you up to date. Well, major crime detectives have identified the victim of a fatal shooting that occurred on June 19th in Estate Friedenhoy. He has been identified as 41-year-old Patroy Williams, a native of Jamaica who resides in the area. Police are still seeking the public's assistance, however, in solving this murder. On June 19th, when police arrived on the scene, they found the unresponsive victim face down in a road in the state Friedenhoy. The victim was wearing a multicolored polo shirt, black pants, and black sneakers. He had a low haircut, brown eyes, and no facial hair. Call police if you have any information that can assist. Field crews continued working in the downtown Charlotte Amalie areas on St. Thomas on Friday in all parts of street addressing initiative. Lieutenant Governor Gregory Francis joined the crews as they visited residents in the Polyberg Hill housing community to distribute information packets with newly assigned addresses. These new addresses will help to establish a logical addressing system for the territory's roads.
In this street naming initiative, what we are doing is attaching a digital code. In the event there's an emergency with 911, whether it's the hospital, the police, the fire department, that digital code will be the digital code when you go into the GPS system. In the event of emergency, it will tell the first responders how to get to your location.
I would like to ask the community to become more actively involved in the process. And if your streets aren't named, to get on our website, ltg.gov, to get your street named and get your residents involved. Thank you.
The Juan Louis Hospital is hosting their second weekend of service on Saturday and Sunday to help beautify the hospital. They're asking for volunteers to help do some painting and gardening in addition to general cleanup of the hospital. In addition to your community service, there will be music, food, and plenty of fun. So tell a friend and bring a family member. The cleanup starts at 7:30 both days and ends at 3 p.m. The Housing Finance Authority's third annual Housing Expo continues Saturday, this time on St. Thomas. If you're a homeowner or in the market to buy a house, you won't want to miss this event. Numerous agencies, vendors, and lending institutions will be on hand to talk about getting and maintaining a home. There will also be lots of workshops, prizes, and giveaways. The St. Thomas Expo is being held at the UVI Sports and Fitness Arena from 10 to 3 on Saturday. This event is part of the VI Housing Finance Authority's recognition of National Home Ownership Month. Well, the St. Thomas Synagogue, located downtown, is a national historic landmark built in 1833. It's the oldest synagogue building in continuous use under the American flag. That is what led award-winning photographer Wyatt Gallery to the Virgin Islands. His photographs have been exhibited worldwide and are in major private and public collections, such as the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston. He is hoping to tell stories through photos, much like he did during the aftermath of many natural disasters like Hurricane Katrina and the devastating earthquake in Haiti. But he's most excited about sharing a bit of Caribbean history with these photos and an upcoming exhibit.
I went to Haiti and I photographed after the natural disaster and documented how people were living 2 months later, and there's mostly these terrible tent situations and makeshift tarps and homes. And we put together a book and used 100% of the royalties to raise money for a few organizations, including Sean Penn's. And we raised over $40,000, built a new orphanage home, and deliver free water daily with healinghaiti.org. I'm here in the U.S. Virgin Islands photographing the Sephardic Jewish history of the Caribbean. It's a little known history most people don't know anything about, but the oldest Jewish synagogues and cemeteries in the Western Hemisphere are all in the Caribbean. I went over to St. Croix yesterday, which was beautiful. Photographed the old Jewish cemetery there, which was amazing. If you go to these cemeteries, you'll see a lot of the parts have been destroyed, or you can't read the tombstones anymore just because of natural kind of deterioration over time. So the photographs can really, record it and preserve it and then pass this on to future generations. I like to use my photographs to raise awareness and give back to other communities.
Senators finished dotting the I's and crossing the T's on a new amendment designed to get Republicans on board for comprehensive immigration reform. We get more from Danielle Nottingham in Washington.
The White House is applauding lawmakers' efforts to toughen border security in order to push a bipartisan immigration reform bill through the Senate.
If you haven't seen it by now, Facebook, the social media giant, has added video to its Instagram photo sharing app. Many Facebook users are happy. Meanwhile, the FAA says it is considering relaxing the ban on using some personal electronic devices during takeoffs and landings. The changes will allow increased use of iPods, electronic book readers, and personal video games, but not cell phones. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. The Dow up 41, NASDAQ down 7, S&P up 4. Coming up on News 2, 30% of VI children are living in poverty. We take a look at some VI statistics. How are our children doing, and where should our focus be? The 2013 Kids Count data book is out. Plus, Love City is heating up. More festival events are on tap this weekend. A little preview of events on the lineup. Well, according to the annual Kids Count report, alarming data was revealed on the well-being of children in the Virgin Islands. News 2's Shaniqua Robinson has more on this story.
The annual Kids Count data book in the territory shined light on a few shocking factors. It found that 62% of 11th graders read below level, 51% of kindergarteners lack expected skills, 30% of VI children are living in poverty, and 20% of students report having sex by age 13.
We get our information, this one in particular, we've gotten a lot of information from the 2010 census. But we also get our data from other government agencies that do data collection on a regular basis.
The purpose of this data book is to promote dialogue on children's issues and to stimulate community response to improve the health, safety, and economic status of Virgin Islands children from birth to age 18.
The Community Foundation is working diligently to ensure that everyone knows the importance of an early head start for these children.
To improve the numbers, it's going to take a community-wide effort. We really needed to focus on early childhood development. Some of these initiatives have been the Text for Baby campaign, doing children's health and wellness fairs so that we can identify early children who may be in need of follow-up developmental, dental, hearing, or vision services.
The Community Foundation is also working with other departments to improve these numbers.
Department of Human Services will soon embark on a quality rating improvement system for child care centers to provide incentives to help them improve the quality of their centers.
You can view this book at www.cfvi.net.
People can pick up a hard copy in St. Thomas at the Family Connection Center at Tutu Park Mall.
Shaniqua Robinson, News 2.
Well, let's continue to come together as a community by assisting the Community Foundation of the Virgin Islands improve the lives of our children. Well, the agency HOPE is inviting everyone out to the inaugural Caribbean American Health and Information Fair that'll be held at the Fort Christian parking lot on Saturday, June 22nd. It's going on from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's your opportunity to get free screenings for hypertension, diabetes, obesity, HIV, and other health-related issues. As an incentive, gas cards will be given to the first 75 persons who complete a full health screening. They hope to promote education, prevention, and testing of chronic diseases that are plaguing our community. Well, as we reported last week, a VI family is asking for your help for their 4-year-old daughter. Michaela Francois was diagnosed in January with a rare blood disorder called Fanconi anemia. She needs a bone marrow transplant in order to ultimately survive. Michaela's parents, Tino and Tamara Francois, and other family members were tested, but no one was a match. The family will be hosting a bone marrow drive on June 22nd from 9:30 to 3 at the Lockhart Elementary School on St. Thomas.
A match, not only for Michaela, because you're registering on the national registry. So if you match anyone, they will contact you. At that point, you will go in and have a physical done. It's at no expense to you. If you have to fly out to Puerto Rico or any specialist, it's the actual, not the donor, but the recipient, the patient, their insurance will cover any costs associated with this because you're just donating, you're doing something out the kindness of your own heart.
Meanwhile, Love City is heating up. More festival events are on tap this weekend. Here's a little preview of events on the lineup, including St. John Festival Queen Pageant.
Taifa Lynch, Charisma Hippolyte, Monet Edwards, Tori Challenger, and Khadija Lee. And our food fair honoree is Florisha Henley, who has worked with the festival committee for a number of years. She had a booth that she told me when I interviewed her. She remembered when it was only one day was the whole festival. And everybody did everything that day. There was one booth and everyone went to that booth and got what they needed, and that little parade around Cruise Bay. So it was really quaint, I guess, but now it's really, we know, almost a whole month. And we also have the boat races that day, the same afternoon. So the 22nd is a long day, but it's a fun day. Also on the 22nd, the Children's Village is being open, so the parents could come and know that you could take your children over to the village. It's being operated this year by Rotary. Please bring some form of identification to be used at Red. We're sure that TSA will be there.
Meanwhile, if you're looking for a new pet that's full of energy, the Humane Society has a batch of new puppies for you to choose from. These 2 coconut retriever puppies are just a small portion of the pets that the Humane Society have right now that are ready for adoption.
We are looking for homes for these little guys. They are very vicious, as you can see. They are very friendly. They're about 6 to 8 weeks old. They are weaned. We also have a lot of other puppies if you can help us with it. Right now we're having a 50% off sale on adoptions. So if you're interested in a puppy, you can get it for half price, which will only be about $50. You get it fixed, you get it chipped, you get all its shots, and it's all ready to go. And as always, if you need help spay or neutering your pet, please contact us. We're more than happy to help you. Thank you.
And they were adorable. Stick around, your News 2 Active Weather forecast is coming up next.